for others, those who could not attend. So if you did not want your face on screen, you turned your screen off. And here we go. One of the things we want to address out of the gate is behavior, classroom management in a digital environment. So when you're doing this synchronous instruction or these little meets, restorative circles, whatever you're using it for, how do you keep that? Wait, were we doing classroom management or are we doing relationship building?
How do you build relationships?
Sorry. I apologize. When you're in a digital environment, how do you build those relationships? You have never seen these kids. You've never met them face to face, yet you want to build a strong connection, a good relationship with them where you can get that instruction and deliver it, and the kids are eager to learn. They want to jump in. They feel safe. How do you do that in a virtual environment? Well, it's brand new, and you guys are the ones who are going to try this out. So we talked about it, Brittany and I, at length, and we want to know, what are some of your ideas? What do you think you can do? So basically, what do you do in your regular classroom to build those relationships? What are some things that you do the first week or 2 weeks that builds that community, that gets you to know each of your students? And I want you to go ahead and put some of those ideas in the chat. So go ahead and just open up the chat. If you don't know where it is, go to the top right, and there's a person and a little bubble. The bubble is your chat. And click on that, and at the bottom is a space for you just to start typing. And if you've signed in with your CNUSD, I'll have your name. But there are several people who joined with their personal accounts, so I may not have your name. So go ahead, let's get some ideas in there. I know you guys have lots of them. I don't see any yet. And what I'll do is I'll compile a list and I'll email it to everybody. Find someone who. I want to know what that is.
So like find someone who has blue eyes.
Oh, I see. Okay. I haven't ever done that one. That's a good one. Personal all about me. Yeah.
Yeah, an only child. Nice. Yeah. Awesome.
I like that, Debbie. Yeah. Making yourself vulnerable is the first step to them feeling safe. Morning meeting. Ooh, QR code scavenger hunt. Melissa, miss you. Freya, a friend. Richard, that's awesome. That's an Edu protocol.
Married Rondo too. I'm at Rondo.
You're at Rondo now. Yay! Congratulations. You are the perfect fit for that place.
Thank you.
Oh, congratulations. That's amazing. I was just there this morning with Trevor. So sometimes people put in their morning meetings, and then we could stretch you also and go out on a limb and say, especially for those of you who are a little more tech savvy, how about Flipgrid? If you've never used it, super easy platform for you and your students to use. We have lots of videos in the distance learning website to help you figure out how to use it, but honestly, it's not difficult. It's an easy one to get used to, and what Brittany and I like about it is you can record a video of yourself. And then I came up with the idea using your cell phone and recording yourself. Here, I'm cooking dinner for my family. I love doing this every night. And then take your phone outside, walk with your dog. Here's me and my dog, my corgi. We're taking a walk, and, just a bunch of little ones, and you can put them together, and that could be your introductory video. So it's kind of fun and zany for the kids. And then the kids respond to you. So that's also an idea. Tell me something that makes you happy. I love that because that brings in that social emotional piece. And right now, we don't know what's going on with the kids. We don't know, where they're at. How are their parents? Are they dealing with any trauma? So that's a great way to start out. So I'll make a list of these and email them to you. With that, we're going to go ahead and say that pretty much everything that you just mentioned there can be done in a virtual environment. In fact, I was telling Brittany that I use sticks in my classroom. for third grade, you could still do that. You have all your kids in front of you and you just pull a stick. Okay, Jeffrey, it's your turn. What do you think? Da 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 da. So a lot of the things that you still did in your classroom, you can still do. It's that physical piece that is missing. So
Absolutely. And one just as another little fun thing with Flipgrid, it could be a really cool way for you to introduce yourself to your students. One thing I did last year was send postcards home ahead of school. Maybe you record a video. There's a little QR code they can snap to get to know you before you come in. Just another idea. There's a bunch out there floating around on Pinterest and Twitter, so definitely check out those platforms. But we're going to roll into the bits and pieces of how to host a meet, where it lives, where's the best place to find it, and how to go about using it with your students. So I am going to go ahead and present my screen to you. Now, my screen, I'm going to show you because this question comes up quite often, and I'm going to show you what I see on my end right now. One of the questions that we get the most often is, can I see all my students at once? And you can see on my screen, I can see all the participants here because I have an extension that you can use that is Grid View for Google Meets. And you can find it at the Chrome Web Store if you just search Chrome Web Store.
I put the link in the chat too.
And yeah, Ronnie's got the link for you. And what that will allow you to do is to view your whole class all at the same time. It will put this little grid up in the top corner of your Google Meet screen so that you can see all your students all at the same time. So just know that, yes, you will be able to see that. But where to find it? Google Meets. You can find Google Meets in two places. You can find it in the Waffle. For those of you who are using a personal account, you'll also see a Google Meet because they did make it available to everyone in the last couple of weeks. However, obviously when we're meeting with students, we always want to be using our CNUSD account. So make sure that you are logged into your CNUSD account. To use a meet between, like, say you had a question and you wanted to meet with Ronnie or I, we would probably use this meet icon here to reach out and meet with you or schedule something with you that way. But for students, the easiest way, quite frankly, is to use the Google Classroom Google Meet link. This what came out live. I don't know, Ronnie, what do you think? Maybe a month ago?
Yeah, but a month to 6 weeks. And then at first it was there so any kid could click on it. So teachers complained because they were having these private meetings without the teacher. So now Brittany's going to show you what the update is.
Perfect. So in your classroom, you will have the option to generate a meet link. You can do this straight from your little Google header. You can also do it from the settings wheel. I'm going to click on the settings wheel just because I want to show you some extra pieces that you may want to consider for Google Meets with students. It is under the general settings, and you'll see the option to generate a meet link. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. And what that will do is on my home page and on my classwork page, I will be able to see a link for Google Meets. So you can see now that I've generated the Meet link, it's here on my Google Classroom. And if I go to classwork, you'll also see the little Meet icon is available now. Something to consider would be potentially just to hide the link from students. So if you go into the settings wheel, again, which is where you went to generate the Meet link, you can toggle visible to students to off. And what that looks like is no Meet link. So when it has the little eyeball with the line through it, it's not visible to students. And in classwork, there's no longer the little meet icon. So why would you want to hide the link from students? You can hide the link from students to kind of help facilitate small group sessions. That is one of the ways to kind of keep everybody from joining all at the same time. You can copy that link and paste it into an announcement for specific students just to kind of do small group sessions. You can copy it and send it in an email. So the making it visible or invisible is going to be what makes it the most sense for you. Again, I would go with making it invisible just so that you have the option to pull for small group and then sending it to the students who need it. So in this example, I would say I wanted to do a full session with all my students. I would just share something with my class and I would say, hey class, we're meeting at 1 o'clock, and drop the link in there. You want to put it into the class comments because then it will be live so that the students should just click right into it. So that's kind of how I would help facilitate that. One of the teachers earlier in the week mentioned that her students were getting into the meet before her. Just as kind of a best practice, we want to make sure that if we say students are meeting at 1, that we're there at least 5 minutes before that to make sure that that's not something that's happening. Students don't have the option to create a Google Meet, so they should not be able to join your meeting because you haven't yet started it. However, one thing to be aware of is as soon as a student clicks on this Meet, the meeting has started. So once this Meet, and I'll go ahead and model this for you, once that they click that link, they can get into that meeting. So you want to make sure that as soon as you're ready, you just click join now. And so I'm going to mute myself here. And I'm going to show you some of the features. It's nice if it gives you little prompts if your mic's off or anything. So some of the features here, if you need the details of your meeting, say maybe you want to send it to a parent to have them join the meeting, maybe this is like a parent-teacher conference, you can send this in an email to the parent. If you would prefer that they call in, you can give them the phone number and the PIN number. What it does is it will call the parent's phone and it will say Google Meets or Google Hangout on it. Initially, when we first tried it, it was coming from a New York phone number. So you would just kind of want to preface that, hey, if that's something that you're doing and having them call in, it may come from an out-of-state phone number. However, moving forward, they're working to get software to allow parents to call your district phone to your cell phone and connect it to your cell phone. So you may not need this, but if you would prefer to do a video conference with a parent, you can go ahead and share this to the parents as well. Some of the features that I really love as a special educator were the captions. So turning on captions, I'm going to have to turn my, there we go. You can see that it's pretty accurate. If you talk in a good cadence or slow enough for it to pick it up, it's pretty good. So I would definitely recommend this as a strategy for your PHH students and things like that. I know even when I'm like watching Netflix, I turn on subtitles sometimes because I don't catch everything that someone has said. So there's that option to turn on and off closed captioning. To present, now keep in mind, one of the things for your students, you will want to set norms about presenting because any person can present at any time. So if they were to click present now, you have some choices. You can present your entire screen, which is what I'm doing right now. You can present just a window, or you can present just a Chrome tab. So say you are running through a doing some direct instruction and running through a lesson that's on a slide deck that's in a Chrome tab. You could just present that Chrome tab and they're not going to see everything else that's going on your computer. If you've taken a course with Ronnie and I, we talk about these 3 scoops all the time. So the 3 scoops, there's always something more in the 3 scoops, so you can definitely check that out. You'll have the option to change the layout. If I click on it, it does one automatically, and what that does is that pulls the speaker to the front. So it pulls the speaker into the main frame of your video. And sometimes, when I first started playing with Meet, I was in a little group chat, and every time someone would talk, the camera would switch and it would get a little distracting. So you'll have the option to change it to the sidebar, so you'll be able to see the students along the side, spotlight the speaker, or tiled. And that is just a 12 tile. If you want more, again, make sure you use the grid view for Google Meets to allow you to see all your students all at the same time. You have some options with that as well to show only the participants of the video. When you're highlighting the speaker, it'll put a little green box around that student. You can choose to include yourself or enable that grid view by default. So that would be a part of those layout pieces. Full screen, you'll see settings. One question that came up in our earlier sessions also was whether or not you could use the ladybug as a part of your video. You should be able to, because you should be able to, if it's plugged in to your USB port, it should pop up as an option for you to use. So definitely check that out if you brought your ladybug home, because you can do some direct instruction, solving for steps, things like that, using the ladybug. And then, let's see, we did settings. Perfect. Everything else is pretty self-explanatory here. Up along the top, this, if you did not download the grid view, you will not have this little square, which is fine. You can see the participants, and you will have the option to mute students. And I can't do it. So I put a little pin, that's going to pin me in the main section, but I'm going to pop back in to our little Meet here, and I'm going to turn this to show some participants here. So I have the option to be able to mute students and hide them as well, and then also remove them. I personally can't because I am not the host of this particular Meet. However, you as the teacher would be able to mute, hide, or remove students if you needed to at any point in time. So that would be the list of people, and then of course the chat. You guys have seen in the chat, and I see there's some questions in there, but we'll dive right into those as well. The chat is public chat. It is not private chat. It is only for it's for all students to see. They will not be able to chat with each other without you knowing. And one of the nice things about our system is that because they're signing into CNUSD, it will be their legal name. So you will always know who has said what. They can't change their name because it is tied to their CNUSD student ID number. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and stop presenting here. So to stop presenting, it's that easy. Just click stop presenting. And I'm going to jump into the chat really quickly here.
We already answered.
In particular, I think we got it all right, Ronnie?
Yeah.
Some of it's just credit, but perfect.
So one of the questions, Brittany, is can the kids see each other? And if they leave it in this format and they don't have grid view, then they can only see those right there. But do they have the ability to change their layout so their layout is all tiled? So yes, in fact, they could.
Yeah.
Okay, so that speaks to what we're going to cover next. And what we're going to cover next are establishing expectations for virtual meetings or synchronous learning. Sometimes they're also called norms. And Brittany mentioned that you have options. You can mute a student, you can hide a student's camera, or turn their camera off, and you can remove a student. So when you set those expectations and a student is being naughty, whether it's in the chat or on their screen, for example, some of those expectations you might want to establish are that students should be dressed like they would for coming to school. And meaning they don't need to dress up or anything, but boys shouldn't be shirtless. And then the environment they're in during the Google Meet should be appropriate. For example, there aren't beer posters on the wall behind them, or a poster of a lady in a thong bikini, something like that. So, you're going to want to set these expectations and send them out to the parents before school starts. And then some of those expectations you're going to have to establish a hard line. And the hard line that I'm speaking to is if it is the consequence for some of these actions need to be removal from the meet. No questions asked. So follow it up with a phone call, just like you would in the classroom. When you're in the physical classroom and a student is misbehaving or they're inappropriate during an activity, you usually remove them from the activity or the group they're working with and have them work independently. It would be the same thing in a Google Meet. You have to be firm, and you can't give sometimes and not. Otherwise, it could get out of control. Brittany and I have presented a lot of hours. I don't even know how many hours. And believe it or not, we have teachers who've been a little combative or what I would deem inappropriate for this setting. I haven't removed anyone, but I have followed up with an email or a phone call. You have to be firm because it's an academic setting, and so academic behavior is what is expected. So to help with that, we discovered something called Be Internet Awesome. It's a digital citizenship curriculum put out by Google, and it's gamified. It's super fun and super engaging for the students. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen now, and I'm going to take you to the site. We have a folder that we created that have a lot of resources in it. The resources are the Google Classroom 101 slide deck, the Google Classroom 201 slide deck, and then the Google Meets PDF, how to launch it from Classroom, how to launch it from the Waffle. And then finally, the last resource is this Be Internet Awesome. So we're probably not going to be doing digital citizenship as we have done in the past, because we don't really have the time to do all these testing. And I mean, we're overwhelmed with the way things are going as it is. So what we're suggesting, just to help you with that digital citizenship, which is basically just being a good citizen, just in a digital environment. So let me go to Be Internet Awesome and just kind of show you the site. So when you get to it, you want to click up here where it says Educators. And this right here is the game. It's super fun. They've got cute little characters, and each of the colored islands represents a digital citizenship component. So here it's tied to the ISTE standards. This is where students can play. You can put this as an announcement in your Google Classroom, and if you are using Google Classroom and you like the integration, it also has an integration where you just share to Classroom. So they have coloring books, printable classroom activities. When we get back on August 3rd, you might want to use these if it's something you're interested in. But right here is what I really want to show you. They have Google Slides already set up, and there's one slide per lesson. It's not a whole bunch of content like Common Sense Media, but it gets to the point, and I love it. So here are your slides. The first one is Share with Care. So that might be something you really want to start off with in your classroom, just to establish that community and always assume best intentions, that type of thing. See, here is your one slide, and then these are activities you can do or not do. So when I click on the slide, it's actually linked with Pear Deck. So you could deliver this using Pear Deck. In that resource that I talked about for Be Internet Awesome, I put a little video in there on how to launch with Pear Deck. And so you can watch that. It's super user friendly. It's not difficult. So here we are. We're going to come up here to copy the file to our drive. And then click this just one time. We're so used to things like, boom, being right there, that we click a bunch of times thinking it's not working. Well, if you do that, you're going to get a bunch of copies. So it is working. We can see it up here. And then here is the lesson. It has the Pear Deck activities already in here. Now, if you've never used Pear Deck, and with your new students, I'm sure you haven't, unless their former teacher had, it's probably better to do it teacher-paced, meaning you're doing it with them, as opposed to student-paced, where all the students sign on and they do it at their own pace. So I would say do the first couple teacher-paced and then jump into doing some student-paced. Anything you create as a slide, you can make it a Pear Deck activity. And we have lots of videos showing how to do that. So here it is. Right here you'll notice the instructions are rolling as a GIF, telling you what to do. But the first thing you'll need to do if you're going to use this as Pear Deck is you're going to come up here to add-ons. You're going to go down to the bottom where it says Get Add-ons. And then Pear Deck, usually 95% of the time it shows up. You don't have to look for it. But if it doesn't show up, like one of the first few right here, you would just come up here and type in Pear Deck. It's 2 words. And then once you get it, you just allow it. We've already vetted it, so it is very secure and private. It's been whitelisted. Once you want to launch your lesson, you go back to the add-on, you find the Pear Deck for Google Slides, open it. Now, if you were doing your own slides, you would add pieces into it, activities, and that's what this right here is for. But this is ready to go, so all you do is click Start Lesson, and this is where you decide, is it teacher-paced or is it student-paced? And you click the teacher paste, you push it to your Google Classroom, the kids click on it. When you're ready, they sign in to joinpd.com, and there's a little code. Join PD means join Pear Deck. And as you go through the slides, they go through the slides. You might want to do maybe 3 a day, or not 3 Pear Decks, but 3 slides of the Pear Deck each day, something like that. And then it keeps all of the students' answers and information for you to access. So it's pretty nice. So this is Be Internet Awesome. We really wanted to come up with something to help you with that digital piece. Oh, it's still presenting. Okay, let me go back over here. So Share with Care would be the first one. This one right here, you might want to wait on that one. It's, you know, fake news type of thing. Secure your secrets, passwords. Don't give out your full name or your school. And then maybe It's Cool to Be Kind. Those would be some really good first ones that you could use, just so that in your virtual meetings, students are being appropriate and they're following your expectations. So those are just some tools to help you out. So let's see. So we have a little fun activity for you guys, actually a couple. To make this a little interactive, because I'm sure you're tired of listening to us. It's been almost 30 minutes of us jabbering away. So we created a breakout session for you, but in Google Meets, you can't really do a breakout like you can in Zoom, like breakout rooms. You could do a breakout document. And so that's what we've created, just to give you an idea, to get your wheels spinning on how could you do something like this in your Google Meet. So you want to take it away, Brittany?
Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I am going to put a link into the chat, and anytime you put a link into the chat, add a little space after it to make it a live link, so that the kids can click on it. So I'm going to drop it into the chat. It is there live for you, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to present my screen again, because I want you guys to see what the kids will be doing while you are doing a breakout. So here I am, and who do I have here? I've got Melissa. Melissa is in our breakout room. So choose a group and type your name into, perfect, you got it. So choose a group, type your name, and you will be given the opportunity to try and come up with some ideas for scenarios that you might come across when using Google Meet and what you can do. Just, we wanted to give you the opportunity to think about things that could happen and then how to respond. So I see +4, +5, we got 9, but we've got way more people in our Google Meet. We got 38, so I should, 39, so I should see quite a few people in this document. And so if you want to know how do I know who's where, you can see the students with their little cursors moving through the document if you are checking it out. I know once we open that link, it gives you the link automatically, so you're not necessarily looking at what I'm looking at while you're doing it here. But find a spot, add your name, and then underneath you will see a link to a scenario. So go ahead and type in your name, choose a group, choose a scenario. And we're going to kind of, Ronnie and I are kind of going to float through the document to kind of see, what it is that you guys are all doing and how we can support you. So I've got 23 total and 38 people. And I'm going to know who didn't join my document because I've got your names and I've got a chat. So make sure you hop in there and leave some feedback for sure. And then, again, use the scenario. And if you are interested, in another tool that there is, you can test out Jamboard. Jamboard is this really cool tool. So one thing that teachers ask a lot about, Group 4 and 5 are not getting a lot of love. So if you still need a group, Groups 4 and 5, they still have options. So hop in and then let's just check out what some of the scenarios have got going on. Scenario group 2 scenario. Awesome. Working it. Waiting for some Google Docs. And this is the cool thing about Google Meet and kind of Google, just like Google Docs in general. We have, we've got 27 people collaborating on one Google document, which is awesome. And this is something that you could do with your students. We could talk about annotating. We could talk about a story. We could have bits and pieces of summarizing. And Group 1 talks about the first chapter. Group 2, second chapter, jigsawing, things like that. You could do all of that in a Google Meet, in a breakout document that's similar to this. And this document did not take very long to create. So definitely, and know that, again, when a student is logged on and they are using their CNUS account, everything will have documented their name.
Yeah, you won't have an anonymous squirrel or something like that.
Yeah, I have anonymous Dumbo octopus. Which is pretty cool, but they won't have that. They will not have the option to be anonymous when it comes to them doing work for you during Meet. So to get to the document, just click on the link. It's that easy. You will be able to jump in and check out some of the scenarios and then give some ideas about how would you approach some of the things that students would do, what norms might you set, and what procedures might you put in place for some of these things that could come up. So
Michael, do you want to unmute yourself for a second? You're saying you can't add your name. Michael Valentino. And sometimes they can. Oh, he left. Oh no, he must have gotten kicked out because he just joined again.
So we'll give you maybe 2 or 3 more minutes just to kind of check out the scenario.
Okay. Sorry about that.
No, no worries. Were you able to add your name, Michael?
No, so I'm just supposed to type it on the screen, right, where everybody else's name is showing up?
So did you click on the link in the chat?
Uh-huh. No, I did not.
And that'll take you to the document. The link,
Okay.
the
So
screen
I was
is,
just viewing it.
yeah, Brittany's just looking at that document, and that's why it's showing up on the screen.
When I'm in the chat now, there's only one.
Oh, yeah, it's because you got kicked out. Okay, here, I'll repost it for you.
Sorry.
No, no worries.
That's how you do it. Why do you guys?
That's how you get the echo. Whoops. There you go.
All right, thank you.
So yeah, where is the echo coming from?
It's Michael still has his on.
There we go. So one of the things that you'll notice is that you don't have the option to mute other students. Only the host does, which is great. Ronnie is the only one who can mute other students, and she's the only one that can remove people. She is the host. So students cannot kick each other out. They cannot kick you out of the meeting either, which is awesome. So for those of you that are in the breakout, one thing that you may want to try, one of the things that we get a lot of questions about is something like a whiteboard. What's something that we can use that would be like a whiteboard? And Google has a really cool tool. If you are on the document, it's under the first set of groups, group 1, 2, 3, where it says try Jamboard. And if you click on that try Jamboard, you'll be able to open a Google Meets Jam that we've created with a question for you as well to answer and just think about. And that Jamboard, play with it. It's really fun. It's really cool. And the question that is being asked in that Jamboard is just what makes for an exceptional teaching and learning experience, and just add your ideas there. I'm not going to tell you exactly where everything is because you'll be able to figure it out. It has a pretty self-explanatory interface. You'll be able to see where maybe a sticky note is. You can see that there's a pen and an eraser. So definitely jump in and check out the Jamboard. Add some ideas. It looks like I'm going to clear some frames here. There we go. Interaction. Connecting with students. Love student-led learning. Wonderful. You can resize those sticky notes too. You can make them bigger, smaller. You can add images if you search the web. So definitely, yeah, there you go. And this is all collaborative. So this is one way that you can get students collaborating with each other in a way that is remote. So we definitely wanted to show this to you. Play with it for a little bit. We'll give you guys about 2 more minutes to play between here and the I love that picture. Nice. Yay! Between Jamboard and um, the breakout groups. If you need more room, if you look up at the top, there is one of six. So there's actually six little. Oh, that's Ronnie. Baby Yoda. I love it. There's actually six frames that you can add to. So you can switch between the frames if you need more room. You can move on to the next one. One of the cool things about Jamboard is it gives you enough without being too much. So say maybe you wanted students to graph something. There is graph paper, and we can make the background graph paper. We can make the background, whoops, undo. Sorry, guys. We can make it ruled like a piece of paper. We can change the color, some dots. So definitely check that out because there's kind of unlimited potential when it comes to what we could be doing with Jamboard because it's a blank space. It's literally just a blank spot for you to engage with your students. So Jamboard can be found in the waffle. So let me share the tab. I'm sure you guys are still on there. So if you are done with the breakout, if you're done with the jam, you should be able to see along the top of your screen the meet. And it's going to have a red button, unless that's just for me. But you'll see meet, and if you just click onto that tab, you'll see my screen again. And I'll show you where to find Jamboard if you're interested in using Jamboard. So with Jamboard, you're going to go to the Google Apps Launcher, the waffle. And it is a part of our Google Apps for Education, and mine is all the way down near the bottom. But you can always, again, move those things around if there's things that you like to use. So you'll find Jamboard in the Google Apps Launcher. So the waffle will show you all of the Google Apps. You can always move it around, and it's this one that looks like, to me it looks like a yellow music note. And you can, again, move it to wherever you like. It's going to give you default a blank jam, and you guys can collaborate away with your students. It's awesome. So I am going to stop presenting here and see some questions. So Melissa's question, does it have a whiteboard like Zoom where you can present your screen and type? If that would be, the closest you can get to that would be something like Jamboard. So you would, I know a lot of people, the annotation piece is what I'm assuming we're talking about when it comes to like Zoom and Meet. Google Meets does not have an annotation piece, but Jamboard could definitely act as the substitute for that, for sure.
Karen had a question. So unlike Zoom, there's no waiting room to have students or families wait in. If you have back-to-back sessions, like but different students in each group each day, what is the best way? So you want to make sure you make a unique Meet link for each one, and you only give it to those people. Now, one thing that we have been telling teachers is Google is coming out with, I think, 7 different update releases for Google Meets. One of them is waiting room. One of them's raising your hand. Gosh, I can't think off the top of my head. Yeah, there's so many. It basically is going to take Google Meets and make it just like Zoom. Now, whether that's going to be free or not, we don't know. We're hoping until September 30th it is, because that's when we're going to need it the most. And then if we go back school closures during winter, hopefully they'll do it again. But there are a bunch of updates coming out. I can put a link in the chat for you so that you can just be aware. It's the link I'm going to put in there, though, is for every G Suite app. even the admin console. And you just have to kind of scroll and you can see when these are going to be released. Now, sometimes they don't have a date. Like, for example, Google Meets. There's no date. It just says in development. So, but just beware that some of those really cool tools that you liked in Zoom are coming to Google Meets. I dropped the link into the chat for the resource folder, and I'll do it again. Again, that folder has the slide presentation for Google Classroom 101 and 201, and then the 2 PDF documents of how to launch a Google Meet, whether from the Waffle or from Google Classroom, and then the resource for Be Internet Awesome. So let me find it.
And then I'm going to keep answering some questions here. If you have a standing day or time to meet for the whole class, just have them use the Google Meet link in Google Classroom. They'll be able to click into that.
Now, can they join that before the teacher?
So they shouldn't be able to join that before the teacher. Okay. We did have someone mention it, and I'm gonna be reaching out to our Google contacts just to kind of see if anybody else has had that experience. They shouldn't be able to join before you because you are the creator of the meeting. However, keep in mind that as soon as you click that Meet link, that meeting is going. So you want to make sure you click the Meet link and you join now immediately. So it's a 2-step process. Click the Meet link, join now. You don't want to dilly-dally and say click the meeting and then it opens it up and we're not ready to go. You want to click the Meet link, click join now, and then jump in. So make sure that when we're doing that, that's how the students can't create their own meets. Teachers are the only ones who have access to do that. So they should not be able to join it without you having started it. But keep in mind, it starts as soon as that Meet link is clicked. So it has that process where it's click the Meet, then are you join now? So just make sure you jump in before students do. And when we talk about, again, scheduling wise, we're telling the kids to meet at 11. We are in the meets at 10:55, just so that we're heading some of that off in the event that does happen. However, it shouldn't be. So if it does, let us know.
Yeah.
So we can continue to reach out to people and let them know, hey.
Yeah. Emily, your question, what I do is I use the Google Calendar that came with my CNUSD Google account. You have it. It works. It's connected to your Google Classroom. And then what I do is I make the meetings in my Google Calendar for the times. And that's how I schedule everything ahead of time. I don't know if you want to do that in your Google Classroom, but if you click on the Google Classroom calendar, you can go ahead and schedule those ahead of time and put like the last name, Perez family, Castillo family, Smith family, and just have all of those listed in your calendar ready to go. And then when you do that, you can also add the email of the parents and invite them, and they have the link automatically also. So that's how I did all of these trainings today. I just went into my Google Calendar and I put whatever trainings we were doing. I added a Google Meet to it. If you want, I can show you how to do that. It's not difficult. And then you just add the email address of who you're inviting, and they get an automatic email.
And one of the things about adding it in Calendar is that you can add documents to it beforehand. So say you have an agenda that you need to get through. If you do it in Calendar, you can add documents to it as well.
Yeah. The next question was, can we schedule it and have it repeat? I am going to try that right now. Just let you know first off if that can even be done. Let's see. Make a Google conference. I don't see a place to make it repeat. Oh, here we go. Yes, you can. You can make it repeat. Same day, same time, every week, or you could have it repeat every other week, whatever you want. Yes, you can do that in Google Calendar.
Yeah, and that's kind of the same thing as if you're looking to use it outside of Google Classroom, not with students.
Yeah.
Because if you're just using the one in classroom, it's the same one every time.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to get the ClickUp link and code.
Awesome. Yeah, if you have questions, you can keep putting them in the chat. Ronnie and I are going to be here until 2:30 at the
We'll stay if you guys need us.
earliest. We're usually here as long as you guys have questions. So we're happy to answer them. You can put them in the chat. Karen, when having it repeat, will it be the same link every time? It should be.
Yeah.
And you're welcome. So the ClickUp link, Ronnie's put it into the chat.
Let me get the code. ClickUp code. And there's the code.
The code is HJQM4S. Any fun anagram in there? No. H.
Did you see the one from Brenda? My partner and I are both registered for this, but we are using my login to watch. Will she still get credit using? Yes, you'll still get credit. There could have been 3 people hovered around. It doesn't matter. You guys saw it. You were here. If you guys have any questions after this, like you start doing stuff and all of a sudden it occurs to you like, oh my gosh, how do I do this? How do I do that? Brittany and I are, even right now, we're on summer break, just like the traditional track. But just reach out to us. You're going to get an email that says, we're on summer break. Thank you so much for your email. Just email us anyway. We will do everything we can to help you guys because we know you're starting school in a couple weeks. And we can't sleep if we know you can't sleep. So reach out to us and we'll help you. But just keep in mind we are on summer break. So if it's something maybe somebody else could answer, go ahead and ask them. But please reach out to us if there's something the 2 of us are the ones that you need to go to.
Absolutely. Holly, I see your question. How do you attach the Ladybug at home to your personal computer? It should be USB, and then there's an app that you can download. We have it whitelisted, and we're working with that. So if you try it, you can email Ronnie and I, or if you need the software, just email me if you want to try it. I am working with another teacher over at Parada right now to try and get their stuff set up, and we're running into some glitches with it. However, if you have your Surface, it will work on a Windows device much better than it will on a Chromebook, for example. But we're looking at workarounds for that as well.
Melissa, I just added you. You weren't registered for this session, so I just added you. Go ahead and try now. I put you in for curriculum rate because I assumed you're off track since you're at Rondo. Please correct me if I'm wrong, if you're working right now.
And yes, Lori, we're recording this session.
Yes, we're recording this. Oh, Kristen's back. Hello, just FYI, I joined the call without registering. I'm logged under colleague's username, but I am a track attending this meeting while off track. My information. Okay, so L. Wagner, let me add you, L. Wagner, and then you can just confirm your attendance.
And then Holly, so Ronnie is using Loom. Loom works very similarly to Screencastify, the main difference being that it does not have a 5-minute cap for a free version.
Yeah, and you can also, Screencastify you can only use when you're online, whereas Loom, I could record something on my desktop or I can record online, and it's free. There are advantages to both. So I use both, but I use Loom more than I use Screencastify. And go ahead.
Sorry, Tina, I'm gonna grab that for you. But
no, I was just gonna say I'm gonna end the recording now because we're done with the session. So